Good morning. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It's Marquise Martin Hayes, and it is time for Thriving Thursdays. One of my favorite days of the week. Why? Because I believe that if you are thriving, if you're thriving, then you don't have time to be mad at nobody else. You don't have time to complain about what somebody else is doing or not doing. You don't have time to be involved in things that are relevant to real life. The only time you'll have is a time to devote to your family, your purpose, and what you give back to the community because you realize you owe. And the reason you're successful, the reason why you have the things that you have is to position you to be a contributor to humanity and add value. And so that's what we do on Thriving Thursdays. Today is no different. I've got an amazing guest coming on the show. Her name is AndreaMillerHughes. I've known this young lady since she was a young lady. Now she's a grown woman doing amazing things. She has literally blown my mind away over the last 6 months or so, and interacting with her and seeing and hearing some of the things she's up to. And today she's going to jump into her book, Can Black People Grow Hair? So I look forward to bring her on shortly. And for as you all know, I love to talk about my Rodan and Fields regimen and keeping my face clean and my body and my lips and everything else. But we'll do something a little bit different this morning. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrea Miller. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great.
I am great. Thank you.
I am
Thank
great.
you. Do me a favor. We talked about something before we got started. Would you do me the pleasure?
You know I would.
Go ahead.
So, Marquise introduced me to Rodan and Fields, and obviously he's a passionate man, and so anything that he talks about, you're like, you want to buy into because you're sold automatically, and it's no different with these products. So I purchased the reverse brightening regimen.
Yes.
And so that includes, it's a 4-step process that also includes these brightening serums here as well. My main thing was that I had some acne scars, and one of the things that kind of sold me was it targeted some like discoloration, hyperpigmentation, which I have some of that around my nose and my mouth. And I was just like, let me see, how this ends up working. And I've been using it right now for, has it been maybe a month?
Yeah, month, 4 to 6 weeks, right around there. Yeah.
And I love it. I definitely see the difference. I've noticed certain spots have definitely significantly faded. Just the texture of my skin. And this is coming from someone who, in general, I usually always have great skin.
Okay.
I have not had like crazy breakout issues. And so that's coming from my skin feeling and looking better from a baseline of already feeling like I have great skin. So I was just like, praise him. Yes, I'll take it. Right. And then I also purchased the intensive renewing serum as well, because 36, and I guess life doesn't stop at 30. I think you just keep getting older.
Yeah, my dad says, just keep living, son.
So I was like, well, I'm getting some lines right here that I just want to kind of nip in the bud because, they say black don't crack, but eventually we do.
Yeah. And even if it don't crack, it's going to wrinkle and sag, you know what I mean? It's going to do something.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I truly, truly love the products. I'm already, in my mind, I already plan on continuing the regimen because I've seen such a great result, and I'm loving my skin. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate the love. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, that's not why you came. That's the bonus you get for tuning in. Marquise Martin Hayes, and this is Thriving Thursdays. Let's get it. Andrea, what's up? Tell the people who you are. They know you're an author, but there's a process to becoming an author. There's a process about who you are, because what I remember was a very calm, quiet, shy, but willing young lady who wanted to be involved when we were in Holland, Michigan, who wanted to be involved and make a difference wherever she could. She was just sweet and just as kind, but quiet and to herself. And now you turn to this woman with a mission, a vision, and a passion. I'm sitting back like, wow. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the evolution for sure. So I am, my my background as far as education goes is that I have a degree in human services management, and I come from a decade of nonprofit experience. Nonprofit helping, empowering, supporting is definitely my passion, and it has been a theme that's run through my life, my entire life. I am in property management, and I also am a boudoir and female portraiture photographer.
Very good, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like, seriously, that's great work. I mean, I forgot about that. Like, they need to follow and just see that work so they can book you. But go ahead.
No. But I mean, that again, that came from a place in my heart, not from just wanting to do photography, but my passion of wanting to help women and inspire women to become interested in themselves again. Because
stop.
Okay.
Repeat that, because that alone, like, that's so honorable. Like, repeat it, please. Just that's incredible. Seriously.
So I want to inspire women to become interested in themselves again. And where that comes from for me is just women, we're often just kind of wired to be the support system and play the supporting role in everyone's movie. Times we thrive off of that. We want to. That's part of our nurturing spirit. And every woman is like that. We're all individuals. But that's just kind of how we are. We want to support. We want to nurture. And that's admirable, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful. And it also is draining and exhausting. And you're taking from your well, and you're feeding everyone else. And then if you're not depositing back into you, there's the point, and you see it all the time where women married, have children leave the household, and that now they don't know what their life looks like. And there's different stages of that for other women who aren't married, who are single, who are young, what have you. So just reminding us that we were ours before we were someone else's.
Come on.
And
real.
Like that, and that you are not a selfish person if you set time apart to invest in yourself. So that's where the photography came from.
Okay, I have a question about that. So, is this the same as women empowerment? Is that the same? I see it as something different.
Yeah, it is, and it isn't. I think just because of where my passions lie and where my experience, my expertise is, there's a lot of people and women that are pro empowerment in the sense of, pro-life or taking care of your body or body empowerment, all of those things. Mine is more of the internal work of empowerment piece. And some of that comes from my own journey of having to find my footing there. And then also just when you're a woman, even if you don't know every woman in the world, there is a community, I don't know, this innate spiritual unseen community that you have with every woman. And that's where the seed of this came from, really.
It's good. I love that. And I had to bring it up because to me, I think women empowerment is great. Like, I ain't got no problem with women empowerment, but as Jaren just said, women empowerment can be more ego-centered. And that was kind of sort of my differentiation. Not like women empowerment is ego. No, I'm not saying that. I'm all about women being empowered. Women help raise me. I'm no fool. But what I'm saying is I love that it was women centered on themselves. I think we struggle as a country because we have no sense. I don't mean selfishness in the context in which we don't care about other people. I mean selfishness in the context in which we know what we need. So we nourish, we crave it, we give it to ourselves. And when we do that, then we're whole. Then we're able to connect with other people. Then we're able to offer value. And I think that's what's wrong with a lot of the problems in our country. We're so freaking empty inside. And I love that you've brought the niche. Oh, niche is such a key, whatever. I made that up in this moment, but you brought it to women who really need, not that men don't, men do need. We need women stronger than we need men strong, if that makes sense. And I'm not a weak man by any stretch of the imagination, but the point is life comes through women, period. It's what it is. And
Yeah.
that you're taking the time to help women nurture, love, and discover themselves. That makes me so happy. I'm so proud of you. Like, this is like Big Brother, y'all. I'm sorry, but I am so proud of you because that is a true gift to people. That's a true gift to humanity. That's a true gift to families. That's a true gift to the person who deserves it, the woman. So thank you for that. I didn't realize that was why all of your photography, the basis of it exists. So all the more they've got to watch it or come check it out. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love it.
It's interesting that you mentioned how you didn't know that because I don't often tell that story, which I think is so important. I don't know, I get excited about the photography piece and about sharing someone's unique beauty, and I forget about the backstory. So I really do thank you for mentioning that because it reminds me that I need to tell that story more.
It's tremendous. That is real power, and man, that's exciting. Thank you for doing that. It's really needed. The number of women I've talked to over the years who the sense of self doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's, your kids are not more important than you. That man's not more important than you. Your career is not more important than you. Right. You are the most important. Okay, right. Go. Okay, go.
Well, exactly. So that's where a lot of the passion with female photography comes from. Mm-hmm. And then and then out of nowhere, basically the book came.
Yeah.
And the idea for the book, or the idea for even speaking about race topics. Mm-hmm. First of all, let me preface that I have not dreamed of being an author. I haven't dreamed of writing a book. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't on my radar.
Right.
And so I don't know. So the backstory, I guess, is I was with a friend who I was discussing with him my observations being a Black woman in primarily white spaces where people just don't know what they don't know. And
it's what it is. People they don't know, period.
Exactly.
That's not just ignorance of willfulness. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. And I think
it is a real thing.
We have to remember that in all of our dealings. It's not an excuse, but it still is what, if you don't know, you don't know. Okay, go. I'm sorry. You're amazing. We got to have you back. And I know this already. Go ahead.
So kind of talking about that and talking about how since I was, for a lot of people, their only Black experience.
Because if you're in Holland, if you're Dutch, you ain't much.
Yep, in Holland, it is a primarily Dutch community. There's a large Hispanic community there in comparison to the Black community and any other minorities. But as far as the Black experience goes, so they directed all their questions towards me. Yes, as adults, we should hope that other adults take their own education into their own hands and don't put it on to someone else. We would hope. Yeah. That's not the case all the time. It's just the way that it is. So right now we're feeling more empowered to tell people, educate yourself.
Yeah.
Read, listen to podcasts. There's lots of different avenues, but growing up, I was the Black experience. And so I observed when people would come to me and they would ask me questions about, some of the questions were just very legitimate and asking about family structures and just stuff that's very concrete. Right. And then others were very abstract or, they were all over the place. And where I was responding from was the mindset of, if I am going to be their only Black experience, then I am not going to let them walk away from this exchange the same BS that they walked in.
You're taking responsibility. Listen, I don't like being that person either, but the reality is, if I'm in the moment, I'm the one.
Yeah.
So why shun it?
Exactly.
Why complain about it? Why get arrogant and blow the opportunity to make a difference? I am the one. And right now you're about to be the one. So I'm going to pull myself out of the screen while I grab my charger because embarrassingly, I forgot to put my charger on. I want you to keep sharing. No, seriously, I can hear you.
You do you. Okay, so I probably should have had a glass of water here. But anyway, so when I would answer these questions from, traditionally typically it was the white community that were asking me questions. I came from the place of, if I'm going to be their only Black experience, then I want to make sure that they walk away with correct information, not assumptions, not misinformation, not the stuff that they observed on MTV, which is like, who even does
Absurd.
TV anymore?
Absurd. Okay, listen, we are not what you see on TV, okay? We are
Please.
not, okay? It's called media. It's called sensationalism. We are not that. Okay,
It's called entertainment. My life doesn't consist of me, frying chicken in my booty shorts while I twerk.
Come on. Hello. And I don't even eat chicken.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So what?
Oh, my Lord.
But I do eat watermelon.
Vegan. Jesus, Lord, help us. What? Oh,
yes.
Man.
Yes.
Not okay, not okay. So that's where I was coming from. But my observations, I observed so many instances where I would watch someone from the white community go to a Black person and ask a question or say a remark, and it wouldn't even be if there's a difference between questions that are being posed out of I don't know and I'm curious, and questions or remarks that are being posed to you in order to get you riled up.
Right.
So I'm talking about those that have an interest in understanding and just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
I would watch people who just didn't know what they didn't know go to another Black person, ask a question, and I'm kidding you. I'm not kidding you. 9 times out of 10, that conversation would go from 0 to 100 real quick. And
they didn't read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like that didn't work out too well because
it was the immediate response from the Black person was aggravation, annoyance. Sometimes it just escalated, and it all of a sudden became just a verbal assault. And I'm watching the whole exchange, seeing it all, and I'm watching this white person just sit there. And either one of two things happen: either they just shrink back, and they just leave with all of this condemnation and this ick, and with their head down low, or they just get defensive, and now you're that Black person, and now they're armed with all of this at you type of thing. And
it's so funny that so listen, my fellow Black Americans. No, I'm not a bum. Okay, in reality though, there are there are people who want to antagonize us. That's just real.
Yeah.
You pretty much know that spirit, that energy, if you're paying attention.
Right.
Don't deal with them.
Right.
But the people who come to you, I am a humanist, period. I just am. But the people that come to you had to go through all of the filters that have been given to them. Yes, they have privilege and all that. I got all that. That's fine. But all of the filters that have been given to them, the same ones that have been given to us, that don't allow us to have patience with ourselves. So when they go through that, it takes something to come to you. It says something about you and who you are and your spirit and your presence that they felt safe enough. Not that they shouldn't feel unsafe, but if you look at television, I get it. But they felt safe enough to come to you. That's your opportunity to shine. If you want to talk Black excellence, show up then and really deliver from the space of heart and love and passion that our people are known to be. Because that's a window, and we need you to show up. We don't need you to act like what they saw on TV. I'm just saying, it's what it is. Okay, go.
No, and it's funny that you mentioned that about how, if they come to you, if they're at that point, they've gone through all of this inner work to even get to the point to where they, for whatever reason, feel inclined or feel comfortable or feel safe to pose the question. And one of the things that I talk about in one of the chapters of my book is how, like you had said, that's an opportunity. It is an opportunity when you go to someone who, let's just say you're a doctor. I'm coming to you and I'm asking you your advice about something that I'm worried about as a medical issue with me. I'm coming to you because I consider you an expert in this.
Right. Yeah.
me coming to you is a form of submission,
It
because
is.
if
It really
I'm
is.
asking you, I'm saying in so many words, this is an area where I have no knowledge in.
Right.
I don't understand.
Right.
I'm saying I don't understand without fully saying I don't understand.
Right. Right.
So you are in a position where someone, this person, whether they're white, Hispanic, Asian,
Right.
Native American, whatever,
Right.
you're in a place to where you're the expert and they're submitting themselves to you
It's true.
without sometimes even knowing it.
That's true. The fact that they came to you is a form of I love that. I mean, it's just reality. Yeah.
It is. It is. So that is a shift. That's such a unseen shift that happens in that moment. And you are presented with an opportunity. All of these times where we are talking about how we are being suppressed by white privilege, or being suppressed by police power, and yet now in this tiny moment,
Right.
we're in submission to you because they're, without saying it, saying, I don't know.
Yeah. And you can do that bridge. I mean, it's
Yeah.
huge. And I'm gonna say this too, because it's in my space. I don't normally say this stuff. This is not being a white apologetic. This is called being freaking human.
Right.
Being human. That's it. It's being human.
Yeah.
So win those moments, win those battles. We need you to. That's all. Keep going, ma'am. Because you were talking about, you were leading up to what happened with you in the timeline.
Yes, thank you. So I'm observing, I responded one way, I'm observing the responses of others in a different way. And I'm seeing how the two results were so polar opposites. And so now I'm watching this person who leaves this really traumatic exchange. And it can be traumatic for both. I'm not trying to take away from the black, but
it's real.
it is.
I'm trying to be that guy, but it is what it is.
It is. So I'm watching them walk away from this exchange. They don't know anything different. Now they're armed with anger and sadness and confusion. And 9 times out of 10, that person may never approach another black person again with a question, because they've already been told that it is not okay for you to do that.
Right.
They've already been told what you have to say and what you think, and your lack of knowledge is stupid. We don't want to hear it. We're not interested.
Yeah.
And so they continue to go back to these unreliable sources that have agendas. The media has agenda. News has agenda. You know, if they're going to sameness, those of sameness.
Yeah.
They're circulating based off of their own experiences from someone they know, or what they saw, or what they heard. And I was just like, God, that just saddens me. Like, that just saddens me.
Yeah.
Because all of us we are co-owners of this world.
Yes. Yes.
There is no point in our history ever, it will never happen, where there's going to be an all-white America, or an all-black America, or an all this, or an all that. We are going to always be here together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, though we need to understand and appreciate and feel empowered in our own ethnicity, in our own culture, in our own race. We need to be proud of it. We also need to be proud and to celebrate the cultures and races and differences of other people. And there is a way to do that. There is a way to do that.
Yeah.
It's just that, unfortunately, history and how that has set a precedence on the hierarchy of races and the hierarchy of cultures. It has set a precedence throughout our nation that has got us to where we are.
Yeah.
And so now we are challenged with the huge task of having to rewrite not only history. There's no way that we can rewrite the past, but we're trying to rewrite history in the sense of our future generations.
Yeah.
We are their history.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
We're going to someone's history.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to rewrite the story now. We're rewriting our current national world history, and we're also having to rewrite our own stories.
Yeah.
And question and challenge our own stories. And that's some deep work. And that's where so much of this tension is coming in and where it's been there. Why it's been there.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is a lot of why I hear it in the way you're communicating. A lot of why I think the way I do is it's not like, let's just use the police, for example. It's not like the police are bad. It's that the system doesn't correct itself so that it's fair.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So because we're just humans. We're just humans. We're just humans functioning. They already know the science. They already did the research at UCLA. They know what happened when you put people in authority of other people and then you blight and all they already know that. The problem is not the individual, it's the system. So we need the individuals to collectively come together so we can affect the system.
Right. Exactly.
And then we will see the relief. But it's not the one person. It's the system that allowed for it to be what it's been, which speaks more to your work and how you are taking that on. And one of the things you told me, and you got to bring this out, about when the idea came to you, because Andrea, you didn't want to be an author, but you want to be an author now because it's popular on racism. Isn't that why? Yeah,
that's right. So the premise for the book, so the title of the book is Can Black People Grow Hair?
Yes.
And I came up with that title based on that was a question that I was asked years ago from a white friend at the time and it helps that I knew her. I knew her heart. I knew where she was.
How did you feel?
I mean, of course, on the inside, I was like, can you grow hair? Like, what? What in the black Jesus are you even asking me right now?
Yeah. Like, duh, do I have hair? Hello? How do you think I got there?
I know, right? And she's asking, and I can just see it on her face. She's just kind of, oh, can black people grow hair?
Yeah.
I mean, she was serious. She just did not know. And I knew her history, so that helps. Obviously,
yes.
So, and I just answered her. I was just like, yeah. I'm like, black people can grow hair. It's just like any other community where textures can vary based on all kinds of different things, your genes, some people can grow hair faster, some slower, what have you. Just explaining just the facts of it. And her response was just, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I thought so, but I wasn't quite sure. And then we just moved on. That was it. And now that was all.
It's just an indicator of the propaganda. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she had common sense. She knew, but the propaganda has been so strong. She had to sort through it.
Yeah.
No fault of her own. It's what's there, which is why we have to come together. Yep. Continue. That's hilarious, though.
It's hilarious. It is, and it's not hilarious. Like, to me, it's not hilarious in the sense of like, oh my God, she's a joke or anything like that. It's not like
no.
Disempowering hilarious. It's the kind of thing of like, there are people that truly think this.
Yeah.
That truly wonder if black people can grow hair. Or I've had the question asked the question asked of, well, do darker skinned people like get hot easier? Because like when I wear a dark t-shirt in the sun, I get hot really easy. So like, does black skin work like that?
They don't know.
People don't know. Wow. People don't know what they don't know. They do not know this.
Yeah, that's real. And we hold each other accountable for that.
Yes.
That's the danger. And it goes both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes both ways. But that space of you don't know what you don't know, that's a lot of the way we've been cultured in our country. That's a lot of how we live. We've been systematized as a country in our education, and we're not taught to think. So there's a lot we don't know that we don't know if we just play the role.
Right.
Yeah.
Even in this day and age, like I hear it from my friends who are just like, that's unacceptable. You have Google, you have books, you have podcasts. Yeah. Like if people don't know by now, it's because they don't want to know. But that's not necessarily the
That's not necessarily
case.
true. That's not necessarily
That's
true at
not
all.
necessarily the case. There are a full range of different types of people. There are those that are just more passionate about chasing their own education. There are those that have just always digested whatever anybody has told them, and they don't have that.
A minority,
Yeah,
very small percentage of people that we're talking about.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like these are extreme cases,
right,
of not knowing.
Right.
But the reality of it is that these extremes exist. And yeah.
No, I'm saying it's a minority of people who go after and educate themselves. Like we were reading a stat a week ago or two that the average person that will read, what is it? I think it's like 5% of the people in the country will read a positive book in 1 year, a self-help book in a year. 5%. Most people don't even read. Wow. But of those that do read, only 5% of them, or in the course of 1 year, will read one self-help book.
That's wild.
All that other stuff's not even learning.
Yeah.
It's exploratory and it's helpful and it's stimulating. That's not the same as learning, challenging, confronting, growing. So anyway, continue. You're awesome. I like interviewing you.
No, I mean, and that brings up the good point of, that more people are wired to just go along with popular opinion.
Yes. And just, without even thinking.
Yeah, and not challenged. So that's what we as educators and we as motivators and we as inspirers and we as bridges are up against. And that's why we need to lean into those moments.
Yes.
But so to go back, like you said, yes, I didn't have a dream of being an author. And yes, the minute all of Black Lives Matter hit, I was just like, let me seize this opportunity. No, that wasn't at all what it was like. I actually started this book at the end of last year based on, let me revisit the conversation with a friend at the time. I'm telling him my experiences and my observations of the exchanges that can happen and the polar opposite results that can come based on who we decide to be in that moment as Black people to whoever's speaking to us with questions. And so I'm telling all this, and I'm just saying it matter of factly, as this is what I've seen, this is what I've experienced, these are conversations I've had. And he looked at me and he goes, Andrea, that sounds like a course that you need to write. Like, what is just an experience doing something that you just do is not something that other people may understand. It's not necessarily something that they have knowledge on or that they do. Like, this is just second nature to you. But there are people who need to hear this.
Really?
And I remember sitting there and I was just kind of like, it's just one of those interesting things that make you go, moments.
Yeah, things make you
go, don't think about the stuff, the knowledge that you have, the things that you just do that just flow naturally are teachable moments for other people. You just do it.
Right, yeah.
And so that was really the birth of, I honestly think I started writing maybe just a couple days after that conversation.
Okay.
And so that's what sparked it, and that was at the end of last year.
And then look at the wave of timing in which you found yourself, perfectly placed in position to be able to shed light. Like, guys, I have read, I know she's going to talk a little bit about some high level of the chapters, but I've read 2 chapters, and all I can tell you is it is timely, it is poignant, it is well written, it is clear, it is provoking. It will make you laugh, and you will also be embarrassed. And it challenges both Blacks and whites in America and everybody in between. And it gives us an opportunity as a toolkit to find healing, learn to connect, and transform history, as she talked about earlier. It's phenomenal. I literally, when I say phenomenal, I'm not exaggerating. It's not some nice little cute book. This is a woman who put her thoughts and ideas together in such a way that fits the time, that when you read it, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bestseller. Although it's her first time out the gate and a lot of that's popularity, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us about the book and tell us some of the things we can expect. We got like 20 minutes and we want to give you time to do that.
So, I mean, basically everything you said is what I was going to say about the book. So, I mean, what he said,
Rewind.
right? Yeah. As well as, it is all of those things, though. The point behind the book is to, number one, be a bridge between two people groups that I believe, of course, this is my experience, my Black experience amongst many Black experiences.
Yeah.
Building a bridge between two communities who I believe have, in so many ways, avoided each other.
Really?
Yeah, have avoided each other out of just not wanting to really talk about the stuff that makes them different, that calls out one or the other, because it's just people are just tired. I think, even we're noticing it now where people are starting to get tired of hearing about Black lives.
Oh, you can't do that, but it's true.
It is true. People are starting to, they were all gun-ho and now they're just kind of like, I'm kind of ready to go back to like my Pinterest life now.
Yeah, leave me alone. I don't want to see another one.
Yeah.
That's a clear indicator that you don't get it. Just know that.
Exactly.
What it is. That's a clear indicator that you don't get it.
Yeah, you don't get it. You don't get it. So it's, to be a bridge, that's the big thing, to also challenge our own biases, our limitations, our stories.
You mean grow? What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I need to grow my career. Leave me alone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, challenging them and asking all of us, I've asked myself, I've went through such an evolution and self-reflective time writing this book. This has been therapy for me.
Oh man,
it is going to be a teaching, or I don't even know if a teaching moment, just like a prompt. This book is a large prompt, a large conversational prompt for people. It's prompted me as much as I hope it's going to prompt other people. But I want us all to ask ourselves, is the way that I've been thinking the only way to think? And a big point that I drill in the book, which is applicable to any area in life, is how so often we want to be judged by our intentions, by what we meant to say, by what we meant to do, by how we meant to act.
That's all BS.
And yet we judge other people by their actions.
Yep. In a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
Ooh. In a heartbeat.
We don't spare a second to just jump on people, but based on what they do. But yet when we do something that someone finds offense with, we're like, well, my heart was in the right place, or I didn't mean it like that, or you just took it personally, or whatever the case is.
Why do you think we give ourselves a pass like that?
Because innately we have our egos. If we allow life and ourselves to unfold as it may without ever challenging it, our egos are going to run everything. It's our ego.
Yeah.
Our ego's in the forefront saying, no, it's not me, it's you. You know?
Yeah.
And so unless we come in and we challenge that and we recognize the personal choice that we have to make every time we're at a crossroads on how we're going to approach things, how we're going to react, how we're going to judge someone or not judge someone, that we don't have to be on autopilot. We don't have to live on autopilot.
Right.
Based on our experiences or our offenses. Like we can choose. It takes work. Yeah. And it's going to take consistency, and it's not going to be perfect every time.
Yeah.
We can change. We can evolve.
Yeah.
But it's our ego. It's our ego, and we all of us naturally think highly of ourselves. All of us do,
or at least we want to.
Or we want to. Yeah.
Right. I got to ask you this.
Yeah.
So I see this book, this work. It's a work. As white fragility 2.0. So white fragility is a what I've heard and glanced at, a great starting point for white America to start. This book is a wonderful bridge, but you didn't stop there because you brought something for African Americans and Blacks also. Can you tell us about that? So this isn't, oh, I got to buy this book for my white friend. Yeah, they need to read this. You left something there for us too. Can you bring that out?
Yes, exactly. So since this is about challenging all of our biases and all of our limitations and all of our stories, I would say one of my favorite chapters is called White Privilege. And it is a chapter where I'm outing myself. I'm outing the concept of white privilege, which is part of colorism, which is starting to be a topic of conversation now amongst nationwide, really. And within this chapter, I talk about how I went through life, and I didn't even realize it. I went through life judging other Black people for their hurt and their pain and the offense and the skepticism and that they felt towards the white community. I judged that. I judged them. And it was based on the fact that I was around primarily in a white community, and I didn't have much of an issue. I had things come up once in a while where it was clear like people weren't really all that into me, or there were some blatant racist situations that happened. But for the most part, I would go into situations where, for instance, one of the things I talk about is how I felt like, oh, because these people let me watch their kids. It's not so bad being Black. Because they invited me to their dinner party. See, we don't have that many barriers.
Right.
Because they spoke to me and they let me do this, and they, this whole change of thinking, I allowed myself to create a broader Black experience that was only based on my Black experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I was judging. Everyone else for feeling like, for feeling slighted and for being suspicious. But the reality of it is that a lot of these people, and I knew it, I just did not know. I didn't have a deep knowing of it. They treated darker skinned Black folks dirty, treated them wrong. I felt like they were third-rate citizens.
Wow.
And the difference is that my shade of brown felt less threatening. It was basically, in so many ways, a darker shade of white. It felt more comfortable.
You look like their tan version,
I'm the tan version. I'm the tan white version.
I can see myself being Andrea.
Yes. And that comes through so much in a sentiment that I have been told so often, and I know that other lighter skinned Black people have gone through this, or Black people that quote unquote act white.
That was me. Oreo.
Yes. Like hearing, I would be told so often, like, yeah, you're Black, but you're not like Black, when I would talk about the Black experience or about racism.
Yeah, you're super articulate.
Yes, you're very articulate. And I mean, we could just go on and on and on.
We're not. The Black people, right? Yeah, go ahead.
That's not what this is about. But this particular chapter was just outing myself and recognizing my own biases, how I was acting out racism in my own thought process towards my own community.
Yeah. I have a confession.
Yeah, please confess.
It needs to be said. Everything you just talked about, because of believing the hype, I was that way. My own brother got jumped by the police. I didn't believe him. I believed he got jumped. I believe he caused it. That he must have did something. I was blind to my own system because of what I thought about who the police were, what I thought about how he may or could have possibly been in the moment. And a couple years later, actually a couple years ago, we cried. We talked, we worked through it. He's written a book on it called A War on Friendly Grounds. Pick it up if you're interested in that story. But I didn't even know I was blind, and I had my own judgments because it wasn't in the forefront of my mind. But when that began, stuff just started falling down. I could start seeing clearly. So we can all be easily caught up in that. Absolutely. Without understanding. Continue. But I had to confess my own sins because it was real. And it
is real.
It brought us together like this, though. It's brought us together like this. Go ahead.
It is real. And the reality of it is that if we aren't willing to build bridges in between one another,
come on,
then how in the world are we going? We gotta. It's kind of like, yeah. I mean, I don't know where to start.
Yeah. Talk about
it. To stop perpetuating racism within our own community. Because people are looking at us and they're like, you want us to stop being against you, but y'all against each other.
And it goes back to you don't know what you don't know. Yes. You don't even realize. I didn't even realize my own prejudice against myself, my people, or the ones who didn't dress the way I dressed or spoke the way I spoke, or that my brother probably had a short temper. But when I realized, it's been a whole new day ever since.
Yeah.
So whereas we want to say, well, they don't know what they don't know. No, you can't give them that escape. No, they don't. The same way you over here, not really getting that you're doing and perpetuating the same. It's the same. It's that humanity thing. Continue. This is your book, not mine.
Absolutely. So yeah. So I really speak about that whole process and how I had, in the way that I lived, and how I allowed people to believe that they were okay because they accepted me. When that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I allowed myself to put on a pedestal my being an exception.
Yeah.
And I discounted the diversity of Black stories.
Yeah. Yes.
In my own.
Yes.
And just like you had this experience where, you cried, you just like broken. And that's how I felt when I was writing this chapter and really recognizing that. And I mean, when you finally get confronted with your own story and the way that you have played out racism, discrimination, any of the sort in your life, you are automatically confronted with the decision of, guilt is not the action of change. Guilt is a precursor. It is the acknowledgement of I've not in some way lived in my highest integrity, but it's not the presence of change. Guilt is the start. And so now you need to take that guilt and not just replay it all the time in order to be able to say, well, I'm okay because I feel guilty about it. That's not enough. What are you going to do now? And so I feel like, honestly, that chapter catapulted me throughout the rest of the book when it came to my own sense of vulnerability, because this is a new thing for me. This is a whole new process.
Okay.
And it's so easy for me to be very textbook and to be because I just want to make sure that everything's so perfect. And but when you take that time to just like break down the barrier, break down the wall, be honest with yourself, it's just like, honesty and truth is freedom. We know that.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard. It's hard.
You know what's so interesting? It's hard, and this is hitting me now. The reason why honesty and truth is so freeing is because it only comes at the cost of being vulnerable, feeling the guilt, acknowledging the truth of where you actually are, not this upper space where you think you've got it, blah, blah, blah. A lot of us live there, right? It's like, yeah, because my intention, so that no, like as you talked about earlier, but that's not, truth can't come from there. It doesn't come from there. It only comes from the soil. It only comes from the soil. You have to have like a true sense of brokenness, a true sense of gut check, mirror talk of what's really, really real versus the sugar-coated dance around it. And so therefore intention comes in. And a lot of times we don't do that, Andrea. So we don't get to experience that real sense of truth. So do you just leave us there or what? We got like 5 minutes. Do you leave us in that cold space? Oh my God, I feel so bad. I mean, help. What can we? What's the hope? What can we expect? Like, how do you leave us? Can you tell us, or is that like you got to buy the book and get it? Or
Yeah. So I am still in the process of and on the journey of getting it published and on that road. And my hope is that I can be able to get it out by this fall. I have these goals of getting it out by November because I don't want the message to miss where we're at right now.
it won't.
I don't come. It won't. No, I
Yeah.
mean, in reality, it won't. But we're at such a pivotal point where minorities in general are feeling more empowered to speak up for injustice and to speak up for themselves and advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
And then now more than ever, we have so many allies and those that are like, okay, no more. I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't really know it. And now that I know, I can't stay quiet for these other humans that are living beside me and walking beside me. And so what a powerful, like it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. What a powerful place that we're in right now.
Yes, I agree.
And that's what this book is for. It's for the Black community and for minorities, because guess what? I feel like the Black Lives Movement and everything has empowered the Latinx community, the Asian American community to be like, we need to make sure that we're getting treated right too, because the reality of it is that if we think that the system is going to stop at Black people, then that's another form of privilege.
Yeah. And what's funny is, in America anyway, my belief is if you fix the lowest class, at least in this conversation, will be Black in America.
Right.
Everybody else gets some level of a pass. If you fix that, everybody else naturally falls in line also.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I love that other communities are an ally to what's happening, because in some form or another, number one, they see the humanity of it. And so thank you for that. But number two, the benefit of that is if we can do that, then no one else is isolated.
Exactly.
No one else is isolated at all, because we go fix what's considered the bottom in this issue. I don't say the bottom as people in this issue, and it naturally feeds up. Yeah.
And so that's what I want to leave you with is this book, this message, everything that's happening is a way for us, for minorities to feel empowered to advocate for themselves. And it's an opportunity for those that have been the majority and that have been a part of a community, a larger community of sameness, to be able to explore what they did not know before. To come to graduate from I don't know what I don't know to I know it, and now I can actually move forward and do something about it.
Yeah.
And so so that's what all this is about. That's what the book is about. It's
Good.
All it.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
So I have one test for all of you watching. If I'm your Black friend, and I probably am, which is why you're watching me. But if I can't bring another one with me, then are you really open? That's one way to know. Anyway, Andrea, I love you. You're amazing. You're astounding. I'm super proud of you. And I support your efforts. And I can't wait to collaborate even more on the journey.
Yes, thank you.
Is there any way they can follow you while you're finishing up? Is there a website or IG? Leave us with that content.
So, you can be able to, I would say I'm most active on Instagram when it comes to anything advocacy and with the book.
Okay.
So I would definitely, oh goodness gracious, you can be able to follow me. I'm trying to think. I'm going blank now.
For your own IG, I know, right? Let me look at what's your IG. Let me see what this is.
What is my IG?
It's like, what's your phone number? It's like, I don't call me. What are you talking about?
I know.
Yeah. It is her IG is Andrea Crystal. So it is AndreaKrystalH, and we will have it in the show notes as well.
Thanks.
You're so welcome. Is that the best place? You want to leave anything else? Is that good enough?
No, I think that's where the bulk of my advocacy.
Okay. Oh yes, the advocacy work. Yes.
Yeah, happens. So.
All right. What about the book? Should we just follow that too? You'll update us there?
Yes, that's where I mean, I get the most engagement there.
Excellent. Absolutely.
So yeah, that will, hit me up there.
Can Black people grow hair? It's Thriving Thursdays, and we've got the amazing author Andrea Miller Hughes, and she's been phenomenal. Andrea, if you could hold off in the green room for one moment, I'd like to say goodbye to people. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Another Thriving Thursday, another successful Thriving Thursday. The people I bring on are givers. They're amazing. I get fed. I have to interrupt and ask questions for myself. I get selfish in the process because they're so astounding. Thank you for joining me. I hope that something was said that transforms you in a way that allows you to know that you can thrive wherever you find yourself. And you have no excuse not to, because the tools are available. This is Marquis Martin Hayes. It's my honor to be your host. Have a wonderful day.